ball hogs, what do you do with them? If there is players on your team that keep dribbling the ball and they keep losing it, and what do you do? You're supposed to be about development, right? What happens when the development is only about one player and they keep running the game for everyone else to get developed, and you have parents screaming on the sideline? A bunch of problems. Anyways, I have a question from a listener, and it says, I would love to hear your thoughts on style of play and ball hogs in youth soccer. The podcast experts all scream to embrace the ball hog and seem to delight emphasizing the 1v1. That would seem fine for the little ones. When you get to U13 and 11-a-side pitches, it makes for some extremely ugly soccer. On the size of the pitch, one player that is only interested in 1v1 and their own goal and is uninterested in the team really takes away from the game for all the other players. I would think that at some point, the art of the pass needs to be learned just as much as the art of dribbling. Finally, there is more opportunity for an entire team to have quality touches when everyone is playing as a team. So he has two questions, which I'll read in a second. But the one thing that needs to be understood, especially how I do things when I'm coaching youth, it's always about the individual. You have to put every individual in a situation of they need to play to their strengths and they need to develop their weaknesses by being allowed to think. And everyone's on their own level. So I'm going to give you an example. I was in Tucson last night and I was consulting a team. And when I consult teams, I watch them play and I give the coach advice, and occasionally I'll address the team and give information or go to the practices and do the same. But the game is more important because I could literally look over every pass, where the passes are being made, how many touches each player's making, and etc. There was one player on this team, the 10. He was playing 10 at the time, and this kid they're 13 years old, by the way. This kid is ridiculous. Like, his technique was just out of this world. He is like a little messy. He would hardly lose a ball. He knew how to spin, turn, get away, and combine passes. He does that very well. But as far as him taking on players, he would only escape pressure, which is a good thing, but he would never take risk in the final third. And this kid could out-dribble everybody. He just needs a little confidence. So I was talking to the coach. I'm like, listen, get your number 10 and make a rule for him. Because every time they got an attacking third, he would look to pass wide or, pass it backwards, just keep possession. And he needs to be pushed to the next level. And you can see it. Everyone can see it. This kid is so technically sound and he could beat players 1v1, no problem. But he wasn't really taking that risk. He would just kind of react to the situation. So I told the coach, I'm like, we got to offset this kid. And when I say offset, is when you want to get a player to do something that's not in their characteristic, but you want to fix that, you have to offset it by creating rules, which I'm against rules, but you have to create extremes so they can balance themselves out. So the rule was every time this player got in the final third, he's taking on the whole back line. And when I say the whole back line, he's dealing with 1v1 because it's a flat line. They're not. There's really no first and second defender. The second defender is usually from behind, pushing you towards the attacking goal. And you beat one, you beat the whole back line. So we made that the rule. And he got in, drew a penalty kick, and did well there. And he took some other risks, and they weren't successful. But he was learning. And once it clicks in his brain, then he'll be able to understand. And then you give him more freedom. Hey, you have the opportunity to pass. You also have the opportunity to take on the whole back line because you only have to beat one. You beat them all because they're flat. Anyways, so I would say you focus on the individual. You totally focus on the individual. But to the questions. So there's two questions. The first question is, at what age is constant dribbling and turnovers not to be encouraged anymore? So that's I don't want even when I was coaching U6, I coach U4. U4 is completely different. That's just everyone has a ball pretty much, and the goal is to know which direction you're going. But when U6 and you're trying to figure things out, it's all about, trying to get them spacing so they all can do their thing. And it depends, because if you're with a technical group, you can find 5-year-olds, Hispanic 5-year-olds that can play. I see them in the tournaments and stuff, and they don't play 3-on-3. They play like 8-on-8 in these huge uniforms. It depends on their technical ability, not the age. It's like karate. Are they black belt, brown belt? That's how you pair. You don't do it by age. So let's just assume it's a competitive team. It's more of competing and traveling a little bit. So say U8 and they play and travel. I would still have the same focus for a U8 team as I would on a U12 for the individual. I don't want turnovers. I never have. I don't like players dribbling just to dribble. I always had simple rules for every age. It's for them to have success. And it would be when you can make a pass, make it early, and then don't just kick it in hopes it would go somewhere. Lose it dribbling, trying to find a pass. I don't think little ones should be like going 1v1 at players at all times. I think they do that on accident because they can't process everything. They don't know, they can't look up. So they're always in a situation of 1v1s. But when you actually have a team that can actually spread it, U8, U10, U12, you got the spacing down. They know their position. You want everyone to get a touch on the ball. You do. But under rules where they have the choice. So I've covered this topic many times. I hate saying age. I love talking about individuals. That's why I do stats. Some players can play 1-touch soccer. Some players can play 2-touch soccer. Some need 3, 4, 5 touches in order to recognize the passes. It's not about putting your head down and dribbling. Okay. But if you have a player that is special, like I had a U8 or no, U6, U4, my daughter's first team. I created a U4 league. And there's a girl on this team, and her name was Naomi Aguilar. And at 3 years old, she could dribble everybody and score goals. She just could do it. There's always those players. So we built a team around her and my daughter, and we took that team, and they stayed together for 6-7 years before I handed them off, and then it was destroyed. But at U8, she could dribble the whole field and score goals. And we let her. She didn't lose the ball. She won games. Now, did I change, when we're up by 3, did I have her play different positions and look to combine? Yes, I always gave her that, but I would allow her to be her, and she was just special. So you don't want to deny them of that. You do want to introduce the opposite of what they're good at, if that makes sense. So if they can dribble and it's just too easy, now let's see if they can do the next step of the game, which is passing and receiving. Is she able to receive the pass and get it back again and combine to someone else? I would challenge players like that was already in their body, and she could do it. Of course, she ended up playing Division I soccer at ASU. She was born to be a soccer player. It just, you every situation's different. You're not going to always have a little Messi on your team. But if you do, you have to challenge them. You can't just let them dribble to find their opportunities of winning for the parent or the coach. You need to challenge them. Let them score goals. At the same time, see if they can learn how to combine. And